Whether bats.
All right, welcome to a very special edition of Cold Weather Bats. Today we got the usual Michael Rubenstein joined by me. I am Brandon Justice, and we got three special guests with us today from Pison, a brand new product that we're partnering up with here at Cold Weather Bats that we're extremely excited to tell you about. If you guys are longtime listeners or even short-time listeners, we hope the message has got across that we do this for the players first and foremost. We're always trying to find ways to benefit the players. Originally shining lights on them, they were recognized for their accolades, but also now trying to find ways better to benefit them on the playing field. And this ties in perfectly with it. We're very excited to share more about this partnership, and that's why we've brought on three gentlemen from the product itself to tell us everything about it that we need to know. We've got, this is probably some show prep stuff I should have covered with pronunciations, but I'm going to do my absolute best here. So, Mark, if I get Deschanes wrong, or is it Deschanes? Just correct.
You hit it right, man, right off the bat.
All right. I just got to trust myself. Zach Sorensen, and then also Donovan Santas. Am I right there, too? Like I said, it's show prep.
3 for 3. Let's go.
You guys got to trust the gut, right? So we're very excited to talk to you guys about Pison today. I get excited about new products in our game. I'm an old school guy at heart, I think, but the new school stuff is undeniable, right? Anytime you can take something and make that chance 10 times out of 10 in this game. So excited to learn about this. I would love to kind of dive right into it and hear what it's about. Before we dive into that, though, just make sure you guys are going over to our socials and follow us. It's at Cold Weather Bats on everything. You don't have to look too far to find us at Cold Weather Bats on Twitter, Instagram, and then on patreon.com/Cold Weather Bats. All right, we'll start by talking about the mental game, right? That's kind of like one of the, if not the biggest topic in baseball. I do think it's because there's a million ways to hit, right? But there's also like a cajillion ways to think. And naturally, when you're in a sport that is so momentous, right? That 1-2 hop at third base, you're standing on first base and you're a first baseman, you're waiting for that throw to come. It could come a million different ways. And then probably the most relevant, you're in the box and you've got to think about all the different ways this pitch could come to me right now. No matter what, there is no sport that makes you think, besides maybe golf, as much as baseball. And what better way to become a better player than putting the physical stuff aside for a second and thinking about how can I mentally make the physical stuff better? And I think that's what we have found in this product, and I can't wait to learn more about what you guys have in store. So I'll start with this, guys. I'll shift this over to Mark. Pison, tell me about the genesis, the origins of this, what the original goal was, and where you guys are at today on that.
Yeah, so it's an interesting story, Brandon. So Pison started about 8 years ago. Our two co-founders, David Chipoletter and Dexter Eng, they set out on a mission to find early detection, right, or early awareness for brain degenerative diseases, most namely ALS, which family members were affected by. So that was their main mission, and they went out and found sensors that sat on the top of the wrist that would measure, brain conditions or brain responses to these stimuli that they would put in through the eye. From there, they quickly went into the military for blast overpressure and giving the military some sort of an edge on subconcussive events that were affecting their soldiers and so on. And that's when we came along, myself, Zach, and Donovan, and we started the sports ops department. That was about 2 years ago. Just finding that there was a lot of vet for this product in the mental space in the game of baseball, but not only that, sports in general. So that's kind of where we stand today. We're in multi-layers, multi-facets of healthcare, transportation, aviation, and then sports. So a multitude of different areas that we find this product very useful, with so many different use cases and expanding the palette on that even more every day.
So in terms of baseball specifically, so many different ways that this is beneficial outside of just the sport. But speaking specifically to baseball, I love to interview as if I'm clueless. I've obviously done some research before the episode just to prepare myself, but I think it's best for everybody here if I act a little clueless on the product, because a listener, for the most part, could be, might be, or is, right? As I understand it, it's a wearable, similar to like an Apple Watch, smartwatch, any sort of thing that you would wear on your wrist. And it is tracking mental and physical metrics, reaction times, decision making, focus, fatigue, recovery, all of these things. Zach, could you take me into a little bit more about what the device itself does?
Yeah, I love how you said that. I'm going to go back to something you said earlier because I wanted to highlight that is, we're going to test and train the mental game and our mindset. And so to make sure that we are at our best mentally so that we can allow our physical ability to shine and show through. And I think that's something that we neglect to do, and we have neglected forever because we haven't known how to do that, right? So back in the good old days when I was playing and Mark was playing and Donovan was training us, like the mental game, when we talked about it, it was almost considered weakness.
Right.
Like if we were talking about going and talking to the sports psychologist, it was considered, we used to think that we were weak. And nowadays, like we're putting a transition and a shift on that. And here's why. And you guys would agree with me. If I were to come up to you, Brandon and Michael, and I'd say, what percentage of this game of baseball is mental? And I'll throw that question to you. How do you answer that question? What would you say?
I mean, the automatic is 90%, right? Everyone always says 90% mental.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's what we say, right? 90% mental. The game's 90% mental. And so what we've done with this is we're like, well, why are we not testing this and why are we not training this? Yep. And so we've gone to players these days and we said, if this game is 90% mental, why are we shying away from testing this and training this? And that has become mental performance coaching and training. But what Pison does now, and this is what is so unique, the biggest problem in mental performance coaching, and I am a mental performance coach, is there's been no way to quantify where we are at mentally. Now, in the weight room, and Donovan and amazing strength coaches across the game have been able to say, okay, here's where you're at right now. Here's what we need to do to get you better, bigger, faster, stronger. And then we can retest you and we'll know the progress and gains that you've made and be able to show progress because of that. We can't do that in the mental game until Pison showed up. And now we can answer the question is, where are you at mentally? Okay. And what Pison does for you is it has 3 tests. And yes, you did it right. Aura, Whoop. They test your sleep, your recovery, your strain. Pison does the exact same thing. But there's 3 things that separates Pison from some of the other wearables out there. There's 3 tests. Readiness test, okay, which tests your reaction time. We have a go, no-go test, which tests your decision-making. And then we have a focus test. And I'm going to let Donovan go into what these are because he's amazing at teaching this and talking to you about this. But we can tell you where you're at, where your mind is at right now, so you can answer the question, am I ready to play mentally right now?
Yeah, just to follow up there, you're exactly right. It is a wearable similar to Whoop and everything else, and it fitness tracker in those regards. The difference between Pison and anything else on the market is everything else on the market currently focuses from the neck down, and Pison focuses from the shoulders up. So every other fitness tracker on the market is going to solely revolve around motion and heart rate. And of course, we have those metrics, and of course, we track that. But to Zach's point, our secret sauce is our cognitive tests that we're able to combine with all of the fitness tracking. And the beautiful part of that is, as a strength coach in baseball for decades, we were early adapters to Whoop. We were early adapters to Aura Ring. We gave them to players. We used them. We tracked guys. But what we got frustrated with was every day, seeing a poor recovery score or poor sleep or something like that. And the recommendation, from the fitness trackers are, hey, looks like you worked really hard yesterday. You didn't sleep very well. You should take it easy today. And the reality of our game, the sport, life, everything is we're not typically in a situation where we can just take it easy today. We have game to play, we have practice to plan, we have work to do, and we don't have that luxury. So what Pison delivers is the ability to see in real time with a reaction time test, to see in real time what your focus is right now in the minute. So I can get a terrible night's sleep, but I can wake up and take a test in the morning, and I can see exactly where I am mentally. And I may not be that bad off. And then I can go throughout the day and I can see how my daily lifestyle impacts my alertness, my readiness, my cognitive abilities. And then to Zach's point, the other test, the agility test, I can see how my decision making is affected throughout the day, or by sleep, or by recovery. Or I can use it as a training tool to become better, to become more focused, and miniature meditative exercises that we can do with those tests, including long-term focus tests. So not only is Pison a fitness tracker where it's going to deliver all of the metrics that you need to live a good, healthy, quality life, it's also going to deliver all the metrics you need to be alert, make good decisions, and stay focused.
So for these tests, these reaction tests and things like that, for someone that has the wearable, is that something where they're just going into the Pison app to do it first thing in the morning or throughout the day, or how does that look for someone that would be owning the wearable?
It's really up to the user or the coach or whoever is going to be rolling this out. If it's an individual user, you can use it throughout the day as much as you want, as often as you want. You can use it on the app, or you can even just take the test right directly off of the watch. You don't even have to go into the app. If it's a team-based thing, you may have a coach or a director or somebody that's going to roll out more of a protocol-based effort, and maybe wants the players or the athletes to test when they arrive at the field, maybe test throughout practice during drills, to use it as a primer to get ready to hit, to use it as a gauge to see how difficult practice was, and so on and so forth. A lot of the teams we work with, some of the coaches become really specific with how they roll out the protocols. And you just get an incredible amount of information about how you mentally, track throughout the day, how prepared you are for practice, and how difficult practice is mentally and physically for you.
And Donovan, I think this might be a great idea real quick. While maybe you can walk everybody through this, I have my device on my wrist right now so everyone can see what this looks like.
Yep.
And I have my app opened right here too. And you guys can kind of see what's going on here. You're getting a little glare there, but you can see that you're seeing signals that are kind of going through here as I open my wrist here. Okay. And just below here, you might not be able to read it, but it says readiness test, agility test, and focus test. Those are the three cognitive tests that we have here with Pison. And Donovan, I'm going to take a test right here for everybody to see, so you can show how easy and quick it is. If you kind of want to talk them through what's taking place here. So I'm going to push this button right here that says take readiness test. It's going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to let everybody kind of see what's happening here.
And so Zach's going to see a total of 9 flashes of light. Every time he sees the light, he's going to respond by opening his hand. And what we're measuring down to the millisecond here is from the moment the light flashes, your eyes recognize that flash, your brain processes it and sends a neurological signal down to the hand to move it. So we are actually measuring the pre-motor time, the time that it takes for you to respond to a stimulus before you are even able to make a movement. And that is down to the millisecond.
And then what's interesting here is once you get that feedback in real time, you're going to get a score on your app, and it's going to compare it to your baseline score. Okay. And so in the moment, you're going to know where you are at compared to your baseline, and you're going to know how you're responding mentally compared to who you're at when you're at your baseline. Now, here's where this gets fun is what we've learned in the mental game is feelings are important, but feelings aren't facts. And there's a game at 7:05, regardless if you're feeling good or not. And in the mental game, we still have to get out there and get after it and play. And so if my test comes back and I'm 5% below baseline, which means that mentally I'm not as up to speed or moving as quickly as I want to, we've done studies over the past 16 months that have said, okay, how can we intervene with that score? What are the best things we can do to get a bump in our reaction time? So to make sure we're mentally and cognitively ready for first pitch. And Donovan and I have done a ton of studies, and Mark included, to figure out what are the best things. Now, this is individual, and I want to make sure everybody understands that. It's individual per player or per individual, but there's been a lot of trends that we've seen, a lot of mind-body movements that have really affected a person's reaction time. So juggling is really good for you. Some mental imagery or can be good for you. Jump rope can be really good for you. So if you're not quite where you need to be mentally, you go do some of these tests. We'll test you before on a reaction time test. You'll do the intervention. You'll test again. And oftentimes you'll see a bump in your mindset or your mental readiness. And if your mental readiness is where it needs to be, guess what happens to your physical performance?
Yeah.
Goes up.
We see
it goes up.
Maybe I would imagine.
So I know you guys touched on it a little bit here. This poses a tremendous opportunity to teams and programs, right? So and I know we've talked about this a little bit, Mark, previously, but overall, guys, if you're a coach or a program, whether you're high school, youth, or collegiate, this could be a big asset to really any program whatsoever.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And that goes back to your previous question too, Michael. Do individuals use it? Do teams or orgs use it? So in my program, USA Prime New England, we use it for both cases, right? So the individuals who use it, and like Zach said, are we ready to play? One of the most prevalent questions we're asking as dads on the way to the field to our sons is, hey, son, you ready to go? You ready to play today? And the kid's like, I think I'm ready to go. Well, now we can give you that measurement. Are you ready to go or not? And if you're not, like Zach said, we're going to provide that intervention to be able to get him ready to go. So he's dialed in both cognitively and physically. And we say all the time, right? Like we've got all these resources and tools for the physical part of the game. Donovan's putting us through all the soft tissue, the dynamic stretches, the static stretches, et cetera, but we're not doing anything for this up here. So now we've got that ability to be able to let us know if we're ready to play cognitively. My 12 elite teams using it, right? And all 12 guys on the roster are using it, and we're using it pre-game, during game, and post-game. So the players get to the field, and before their dynamic and their static and their soft tissue stuff, we're taking a test to figure out where their readiness is. And if they're not there, then they're doing their individual interventions based on a history of tracking and figuring out what's best for them individually to get the brain ready to go. Then we'll go into our physical stuff, right, with our pregame. What's interesting here is during the game, so if we're playing a 6-inning game, around the 3rd inning, we're testing again. And what's cool there is if there's a lot of load mentally in those first 3 innings, it might be high-stress innings, right? Bases loaded, a couple innings, pitches at a higher pitch count, he's working, he's grinding. We're seeing there's probably a decline off of baseline in that readiness. So what are we doing mid-game to weaponize this data, right, to alarm these players to be able to play as good in the 3rd inning as the 5th and the 6th and the 7th innings? So that's been a really cool study that we found as well. And then the post-game, right, that's the recovery piece. What can we do now to be able to recover better so we're ready to go for that doubleheader the next day? And those are really impactful ways that we're using it here. Some other areas they find valuable is in clubhouse competition. So our 12s are now trying to catch up to our 14s, right? 14's got a reaction time of this. The 12's like, I want to be like that 14-year-old. And the 14 wants to be like the 16, and the 16 wants to be like the 18. And what's cool there is 3 of our brand ambassadors are high-level, high-profile figures in the game. We've got Max Clark. We've got Connie Griffin, the #1 prospect in baseball. And then we've got J.J. Weatherholt, number 10 pick in the draft last year by the St. Louis Cardinals, already in AA. So now these kids aspire to be like those guys that are wearing and using Pison as well.
Max Clark, very familiar name around these parts. Future Detroit Tiger. You have to imagine he gets some time next year. So the question then becomes, the product sounds great. Everything about it looks good. I loved the test that Zach took us through. Players sitting at home right now are probably thinking to themselves, this is unlike anything I've heard of before, because in baseball there's about, I would say, there's probably one solution, but there's 10 tools for that one solution, whereas this seems to be a true one solution for the one problem. I don't think there's a product out there like it. However, everything costs money, right? We know that. You can use a discount code CWB10 that gets you 10% off. But if you guys could take us through the pricing structure that I found to actually be far more beneficial than I had imagined, having read the the script on what the product was, thinking, okay, this has to be some pretty pricey technology. But take me through the pricing structure.
The cold weather bat fan base here and following gets a 10% discount, which is fantastic. And we'd love to be able to provide it to your clientele. But if you're buying it off the website, e-commerce, and the Prep Baseball site, it's at $239 annually, and you're getting the membership and everything we've talked about to this point. So you're getting the app on the phone, and then all the information that comes along with that, right? And what's important there is how we go out there and weaponize that data on a daily basis to make it a competitive edge for us, not only in the game of baseball or sports, but health and lifestyle in general, right? At the end of the day. So huge value right there. So $239, it sits around about 20 something dollars a month. So to be able to get all that and make it a competitive edge tool for your players is huge.
Yeah, and that gets you the device, just to clarify, on top of everything else, which is, it's outstanding. It was one reason why we were so interested in moving forward, just because we thought it was something that definitely fit our customer base in a sport that's grown to be, all youth sports have grown to be ultra expensive. This seems to be very attainable. Coming from someone who bought a wearable that he doesn't even wear anymore, and it costs far more just to get it on top of the membership they want me to pay each year. It lasted me about the 3-month trial, and the 6 months I signed up thereafter, and the 9th month I was like, I don't know if I want to drop more on this. Whereas this seems to be very comprehensive, and the cost surely is attainable and is very beneficial. And I think you guys more than explained the benefits of it dollar by dollar. And as you mentioned, just over $20 a month for a service that you can't find anywhere else. So we appreciate you guys coming on. Hey, we probably should have mentioned this, but 2 big leaguers, a former strength and conditioning coach in the big leagues. These aren't just 3 businessmen that are capitalizing on a trend in baseball. These are 3 guys who understand the use cases of it, because they've been in a position where they probably would have wanted to have it, or I would say they definitely wish they had it when they played. So we appreciate you guys coming on. Like we spoke about before the show, we'll have you guys on individually at some point throughout this next season. 3 stories that we look forward to hearing about. The product itself, Pison, you can find, use promo code CWB10. The link is in our description for the episode. You can also find it on all of our socials as well. Mike, if you want to close us out with some housekeeping on where they can find Pison online, and then, of course, coldweatherbats.com.
So for anyone looking for it, it's www.pison.com. And then you just go / cold weather bats. There is a dash in between cold weather and bats. And that'll take you right to our webpage we got with them. Has all the info. So if you are interested in, seeing it for yourself and reading on about it, you can do just so right then and there. You can reach out to us with any sort of questions. We aren't as dangerous as these 3 gentlemen with this information, but we certainly have a good understanding and cannot wait to get our hands on the product itself, and can't wait to see whether you're an individual, whether you're a youth, a high school, a collegiate player, or really a parent listening saying, hey, that can help me too. There's a use out here for every single individual that's listening to this right now. So be sure to do some research on this, ask some questions if need be, and definitely this is going to be a great fit to help you, your child, or your team be ready come the 2026 season and beyond.
All righty, it's time to dive into the next portion of our CWB Top 100. And this week, we're talking about numbers 95 to 91, since we talked about 196 last week, and then next week, and thereon and so far. What did I just say? So on and so forth is what I meant to say. So
words
on
are hard.
So on, so forth. So
there we go.
Top 100 best players in the state. We've already talked about how hard it is to make the list. Another week where things are interchangeable. Michael and I, we've discussed this at length throughout the summer. And the way that I thought about the rankings was, hey, let's tier a bunch of guys, 1st tier, 2nd tier, all the way up to the 5th tier, and thought, it's actually more like a 4-tier thing. Where these players are very interchangeable from 70 to 100, I would say. You can make a case for 100 to be 70. You can make a case for 70 to be 100. I think once you get into that like 60 5 and up mark, it's a little bit different. And then that top 10 is definitely legit. And I think above the rest in that regard. But really interchangeable in this part of the series. Michael, you've seen the behind the scenes on this so far. What do you think about the numbers 91 through 100 before we dive in?
What do I think about which ones? 95 through 91?
Yeah, well, we've already covered the first half, so yeah, 95.
That's true. 91. We did. Sorry. Not only is words hard, thinking is as well.
Well, I did say 191, so there's reason.
Okay, there we go. So for 191, which 5 we've already covered, and you all know our thoughts there. These next 5, these are names that are known. They're names that are known. These are really good players. There's, just looking at the very first one, we got a player that's committed to Division II Saginaw Valley State. So, I mean, you're seeing players that are going to D2 schools at 95 and, within this range. And really, it just is another testament, like I said last week, to how good it is in the state of Michigan right now. And we're not going to go in this debate, maybe later on this off season, of comparing all of these years that have come and gone in the past versus this one and where this stacks up. But it's another really good year of baseball that's forthcoming here, and it's fun. It's definitely fun, and I'm excited to see how people are going to feel that we are doing, especially how you are doing, not me, because I'm just the poor bystander giving my comments as we go through this and we're building this, but it's coming together quite well. So I guess before we dive into this, we did talk about it a little bit last week because I was wearing the jersey. Michigan did have not the greatest showing against Oklahoma. We'll call this our Michigan Minute. How about that?
Yeah, Michigan Minute.
Right. Everyone knows that you're maize and blue through and through. Probably don't know that as much as myself. I don't think I'm to your extent, but I'm up there. That's for sure. But
you're up there.
I'm up there. The CMU game, that was a little bit better. We saw a little bit more of an unleashed Bryce. Very happy about that.
Yeah, well, if you got it, use it. I think it kind of boils down to that very simple. It's like having a cleanup hitter batting 9 if you're not doing what they did this week with them. Now, there is the obvious, it was Central excuse, but that quickly gets resolved. You go to Nebraska, another hard road test. There'll be another sellout, huge stadium, just as big as the big house, bigger than Norman. Yep. And maybe not as loud as Norman, but, Patrick Mahomes cosplay guy on the other side too. So hopefully the defense, Rod Moore's back, fully healthy. DJ Guy's healthy. Maybe they'll make his life tough. That would be great.
Should be a fun game.
And that's your Michigan Minute, brought to you by nothing. Just
brought to you by us.
Brought to you by our own interest. So we'll start with number 95. That is Cam Swearingen. He's from a big high school, Detroit Catholic Central. I have them as my highest rising team from 25 to 26 seasons. So I'm really high on CC this year. And Swearingen, one of the reasons why he's not going to be the highest rated rock on the list this year, but he is all the same going to be on the list and a prestigious one at that. I think a very polarizing topic when creating this list was how do you weigh out those D1 freshmen and sophomores as opposed to those D2 JUCO seniors. And more often than not, your D2 JUCO seniors are going to be better players and more impactful players at present day, unless you're talking about a 90-plus arm. You also had the days of Nolan Schubert when he was at that age, just being an undeniable bat. Same thing with Ike Irish, was like an undeniable bat when he was already like a freshman, sophomore, committed D1 player. Plenty of other examples is that too. But you also have the older guys like a Swearingen, who is a really, really solid backstop for the Shamrocks. He's going to go play his baseball at Saginaw Valley State University. Division II senior, right-handed stick. He doubles as the varsity football team starting quarterback. We know how legit that program is. His raw arm strength is really on display. It translates from football to baseball. Smooth receiving skills, easy catch and throw ability, agile body, blocks both sides of the dish, can move around well. Not fast, but quick, good on his feet. Really love the athleticism. Think it plays really well. Not a projectability list, but I do think as a reliable bat for CC last season, and think he's going to play a pivotal role for them. Coming from a team that I coach, where our focus this offseason is we've got to find a catcher, and when you have one, we need to have one in Peyton Webster in 24 and 25 spring. Sorensen is going to be a guy that CC is probably licking their chops over having in their backstop. One of the best overall catchers in the state. He comes in at number 95. And again, one of those guys that you could probably make an excuse to be higher. Next, we've got Hunter Van Sickler. He's a 6'1", 160-pound lefty. Is there anything more premium, Michael, in the game of baseball than a lefty? I don't know.
I argue a lefty righty is pretty premium personally.
Okay.
But yeah, lefty that can go play the outfield, can run, can hit. It doesn't get a lot better than that. And obviously here he's doing so over at Williamston, a program that is really on the rise. They've had a lot of good players, and this is just another one of those players here.
Yeah, he plays on that really good 17U West Oakland Wings team that just had a really solid summer with some players that will be on this list. A lot of them actually went down to the PBR Nat and competed well. He's going to play his baseball at Grand Valley State, so another, I guess, former GLIAC. I don't know if the current GMAC or what the situation is off the top of my head, but GV and SV, obviously, the Battle of the Valleys. Really nice start for the list today. Topical, I should say. Van Sickler, like an easy 90-plus velo guy off the bat from the left-hand side. Moves well, throws it close to 90 from the outfield as the lefty. Good size, 6'1", 160, should project well. Again, not a projection list. The guy's just produced a lot. Really like him. He's kind of the heartbeat of that Williamston team that made a lot of noise last year as a 20-plus win team. I think they neared 30, or they might have crossed the 30 mark, but they were a good team. They're memorable. All right, next up, that brings us to number 93, which is Owen Dominowski.
Which I love the last name.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Bay City Western, a program that's, I don't know if there's very few programs as strong as with the continuity and the consistency that is that of Bay City Western. So if you're a prospective player and you're at Bay City Western, you have to feel really good about where you're going to be as a high school player. Coach McDonald's been there for an eternity and done it the right way, pumped out a lot of really good players over the last few years, including most recently the draft pick Luke LaCourse, the right-handed pitcher who just recently graduated from Bay City Western. Dominowski, much different player though, outfielder, right-handed pitcher, 5'11", 183, but you know what really shines is that 60 time, man. He runs a 6'6", 60. He throws at 94 from the outfield with a consistent exit velo above 95 that maxes out right around the 98 mark. And then he can go on the mound and chuck at 85, usually sits around 83, 84, but spins it well, has two breakers to go along with it with the curve and slide, and then throws mixing and change as well. So this is an impact list. It's a performance list. It's a production list more than a projection list. And when you talk about impact, you have a guy that can play center field and cover every inch of it, and then go swing the bat with a right-handed stick for power, for pull side, but hits to all fields. Easy double guy, and not just power doubles, but effort doubles as well. It's a guy that makes a lot of impact, and then you can go trust him on the mound as well at Bay City Western too, to go in there and throw a lot of strikes. But you really like to keep this guy in center. You really like to keep him at the top of your lineup. Huge fans of what he did last year and last spring for Bay City Western.
And if you're really wondering why schools like Bay City Western are always at the top, this is a testament right here. You might be thinking this kid's an upperclassman about to be a senior. No, this kid is a 2027.
Mm-hmm.
He's young. He just went to the futures games as well. Like he's got the numbers, he's got the stats, and really plays on the D Las Vegas team as well. Like this is a very, very good baseball player, and another one that's going to be coming right up through that Bay City Western program as well.
Now, lest we forget, he is an upperclassman. 2027s or juniors now. Time is flying.
Senior. I was talking senior. You know what I mean.
Through 2 years, he's been really good, and actually got a chance to make a pretty good impact for Bay City Western this past season. So, all right, we'll move on to number 92. Really like this player. I've watched him for a long time. If you paid attention to that Little League World Series team from Taylor that won it all during the COVID year, you're going to recognize the next two names on this list at 92 and 91. We'll start with 92, and that is Jackson Surma. Jackson Surma goes to New Boston Huron. You guys, if you pay attention to the Super 25 from year to year, then you absolutely know who Jackson Surma is. Probably one of, if not the biggest bat on that Huron team. Really big bodied, physical body, very advancedly physical, just in terms of he was, I hope he doesn't take this wrong way, but if you go watch his Little League World Series highlights, he was like the shorter, chubbier kid of the team that was like the biggest bat outside of Thorning, which we'll talk about at some point in this list. And both those guys hit the crap out of the ball that week for Taylor on ESPN. And Surma, I was a huge fan of. I went back and found a tweet from 2020, so from the COVID year 5 years ago, where I was like, Jackson, like verbatim. I'll have to like repost this when we post the episode, but it was like Jackson Surma is an electric factory or like something along those lines, because whenever he would hit doubles back then, he would celebrate. And it was just really funny because he was just this short, chubby kid. And, you know, and I don't say that in a negative way, coming from someone who is currently short, chubby, so it doesn't bother me. But now Surma has definitely grown into his body. That's why what I mean when I say it's physical and advanced. He's 6'1", 190. He's only 16 years old and turning 17 here soon. He's going to be a junior, but this is a guy that's, he's your power right-handed bat. 99.1 exit velo is what he recorded at PBR's most recent event. He's consistently a 95-plus velo guy. He can also help Huron and a few other teams on the mound as well, with like right around that 82, 83 mark. Probably not a pitcher at the next level. Definitely has the body to become one if he wants to, but that bat is just way too impactful. He also plays a really, really solid third base. I think third base often gets overlooked defensively, because when you are scouting as a college coach, and when you're scouting your recruitment, you know, your corners, you're looking for the bat first, the glove second. I think this guy gives you both. You don't see that too often. The bat's huge. The barrel's huge. He finds it consistently. We've probably seen him in, I think, 7 or 8 at bats over the last 2 seasons. And he's just been a monster for them at Huron. Another thing that you really can't overlook about this kid, dude, a 6.75 60 time according to PBR. At 6'1", 190 with a power bat. So he's going to leg out extra base hits. He's a huge extra base hits guy for Huron. There's one more Huron kid on this list that we'll talk about at a later date, who is higher this year on the list. But Surma has like the type of power bat ability that is reminiscent of like an Avery Carnicom. So like years past Woodhaven team, where he was just this big kid with this big bat that hit a lot of balls out. Surma more athletic, moves a lot better on his feet than that, but like the bat is very similar. The power tool is very similar. Always liked Surma a lot. Was happy to put him on this list, and his production was really it was non-arguable. He's a premium above 350 hitter, and one of the better hitters, pure hitters in the state, in my opinion.
And you just said probably the one point I was going to bring up. I'm just, you know, I did some research watching his swing and stuff, and I'm always probably going to be partial to the lefty swings as a lefty hitter myself, but he's got a real good swing from the right side. He's got tremendous back control. How he's able to use his barrel and control it with those off-speed pitches is pretty impressive. So for someone that's going to be an incoming junior, this is a pretty advanced swing, and someone I'm very excited to see how he does, not only this offseason, but into the season and into the summer and beyond. And this is a bat, if you're a college hitter or a college program, you're going to want to take a look at here.
And that takes us to the next guy on this list. We'll round up the list in Downriver. We're heading to Woodhaven again. Second Woodhaven player to land in our top 100. There's only going to be 3 on the list this year. And we'll start here with Lucas Farner. He's the shortstop looking like this year. Jason graduated for Woodhaven. He was an unbelievable player for them for the last 4 years. He moves on to Lansing CC. And Farner's going to have to fill that gap. And his story's really cool, man. Like, he was on that Taylor Little League World Series team with Surma. Surma goes to Huron. Farner goes to Woodhaven. A couple other kids end up at Woodhaven. A couple others at Taylor. And I think at least one more at Huron. I think Farkas was the other one at Woodhaven. Or I'm sorry, at Huron from that team. But Farner was the shortstop from that team. He got a ton of time on the mound for that team as well. Pitched in the Junior League World Series the following year, too, for them when they made it to the final against Chinese Taipei, who ultimately won. But Farner's another interesting one. This was his debut this year. He is going to be a junior, but missed his freshman year with an ACL injury. And the question then became, how does he bounce back from that? He is viewed as an undersized, skilled player, right? One of those kids that was really, really good for that like 12 to 14U era. But the question then became, if he doesn't grow, will it match? And he immediately made sure everyone knew that that will not be a concern for him. He had an outstanding year for Woodhaven this past season. He earned all district, he earned all region. He was a above 350, nearly 400 hitter as a sophomore in a very competitive league with multiple power arms. They played a very competitive schedule. They made it to the state quarterfinals where they lost South in the final play. He was very pivotal in that game as well with his stick, and throughout the playoffs with his bat, he was a very important part of the program. But really where he shines, in my opinion, is his defense. He is such a reliable defender, very reminiscent of like a Ryan McKay in the sense that his hands are very short-handed. You never really have to worry about something going wrong with him defensively. If it happens, it's one of those things that even he can just laugh off and move on because you know that that's not going to happen again. He is that sure-handed. And where you look at the metrics of it all, it kind of tells the story of just how good he is, right? He's 5'10", 165, and he runs like a 6'8", 6'9", 60. Doesn't jump off the charts for his age, or I'm sorry, for his size. But where it does jump off the charts is the fact that he's throwing it right around 87 miles an hour across the infield. The ball is coming off his bat steadily, consistently above plus in exit velocity. With PBR had him recorded for a max at 94, and swinging in at a bat speed that's nearly at 75 miles per hour with his bat. So this is a kid that doesn't. If you look at him now, he's strong and he's physical for sure. I've had the opportunity to know him for quite a while, and I've seen him grow from, I think, a smaller, scrawnier, scrappier type of like a prototypical player when he was in middle school, which is kind of, I'm not going to lie, like he's not going to be upset if I say this. Like that's kind of what I thought he was going to be, but he's not. He's physical as hell, and you don't really realize it. And that reminds me of somebody else who I just mentioned. I mean, Michael, I don't know how much you were around back then, but we'll come on the show and tell you that the biggest conversation he had in high school was, what do I need to change? And it was always your physical attributes. You need to get stronger. You need to get leaner. You need to get quicker, because all the baseball stuff you're real good at. Your bat to ball is great. Your glove's great. You find your barrel every time. You walk a lot. You don't strike out much. Those are all things Lucas Farner does. The only thing that was missing for him was the physical attributes, and he did not let that question linger. He took care of that during the ACL injury, came into his sophomore year physically advanced, and made things happen. Like I said, the stats speak for themselves. On base a ton. One of the most reliable defenders in our league. Was really impressed with his sophomore season. I think he is probably the best infielder coming back in that league as a junior. We'll see. That's a very good team. We'll talk more about another player from that team in the future. But that does it for our list for today. Any final comments on Farner?
Yeah, I'm only really looking at, again, did the research on his video as well, and just going through it. It's funny in what you said, because what I had written down is a former player of my own that I've had on the show here too, is Josh Getz. He was a smaller kid. He's gotten a lot bigger since he's obviously gotten to Northwood and in a college program and a strength program, but another gap to gap guy with the surest of hands. If he made an error, it wasn't one that you knew he was going to make again. And really just looking how his body style is, how his swing is for Lucas. This is a really sure-handed hitter, and as well as in the field too. And another one that's a 2027 that I know we're not doing the projection game here, but again, there's a lot of projection here for Lucas here. So one to keep an eye on this coming season as well.
Yep, absolutely. A player that definitely has all the tools you look for. You can tell he's played baseball for a long time. You can tell he grew up playing the game.
He's well coached.
Yeah, absolutely. The mechanic, raised by a coach. Those things matter. I mean, you see it.
They do.
Certain players. And I think his father Corey would tell you, like, a lot of those kids that they coached on that team, like, look how good these players are. Like, they've really grown into become great players. I'll get a final count. But these guys are all juniors or sophomores this coming year, and I think we have like at least 5 of them on the list, maybe more or less, give or take. But that wraps it up for this week's countdown. It is number 95 through 91. 95 was Cam Swearingen, the catcher from Detroit Catholic Central. Then we had 94, Hunter Van Sickler from Williamston. We had number 93, Owen Dominowski from Bay City Western. And we had number 92, Jackson Surma from New Boston Huron. We wrapped it up at number 91 from Brownstown Woodhaven, Lucas Farner. So a good list, very stacked list. We're looking forward to next week when we will go over number 90 through 86. So be sure to tune in and check us out on patreon.com/coldweatherbats. Michael, I'll hand it over to you to close us out.
Yeah, as always, guys, whether you're listening to us on YouTube or really wherever you get your podcasts, be sure to go find us and follow us on every single social. Like, subscribe, and share all of our podcasts to help us continue to expand this great podcast and this whole network that we have here. And as you guys heard in our interview, we have a really great opportunity for not only you, whether you're an individual player or you're a coach wanting to have this for your team, or you're just a parent that thinks this can help. This partnership that we now have with Pison, it's really something special. Brandon and I talked about this pre-show. I'm sure we're going to talk about this post-show and beyond. We are very, very intrigued and excited about this product. It's something that really can help you, go take that extra mile. So, as a coach, I was always telling my players, make sure that you are getting locked in on the car ride to the field. You're not just messing around on, whether it was social media or you're just napping or you're putting poor food into your body. There's now a tangible wearable that can help you be prepared to go out there and play. And it's going to give you the instant feedback and tell you how to improve about it. Like as a coach, this would be invaluable to my players. So I'm very excited and really encourage everyone to either can go to our website, coldweatherbats.com. We have it linked at the top of our page to get to the Pison page. Otherwise, you can go to, and we'll flash it here on the screen, www.pison.com/cold-weather-bats. So really, if you are looking for the edge in your mental game, this is really the tool for you. So really everyone's out there training their swing, their tools to be a better baseball player. Who's going to go the extra mile, train the mental side of it? And really, Cold Weather Bats and Pison are here to give you that edge. So head on over to the website, take a look at that. And like Brandon said, go follow us on Patreon. If you can't wait and you really want to see the next 5 of our top 100 before we talk about it and break it down on the podcast. And really, there's a lot more information on the Patreon too, beyond what we're just talking about. Go find it there. You can also find it on all of our socials if you're looking for it. But until next week, have a great week.